The big alien ship floated in empty space like a dying whale. Captain Veltar stood on the bridge and watched his crew work at broken computers. The ship was called Serenity's Light, and it carried almost 1,000 people from his planet. Now, they were all going to die. Veltar was tall and thin, with blue skin that you could see through. His big bug eyes could see many colors that humans could not see. His people were called Zephyrians, and they were smart and peaceful. They made the best medicine in the galaxy and loved to think deep thoughts about life. But their ships were not built for trouble. 3 days ago, pirates had attacked them. The bad guys were called the Crimson Fang, and they were mean and greedy. They stole all the medicine that was going to sick people on another world. Before they left, they broke the ship's engines and computers. Now 847 Zephyrians were stuck in space with no way to fix their ship. "Captain, the air makers are failing," said his second officer. Her name was Sil-Ann, and she looked scared. "We have maybe 4 days before the air gets too bad to breathe." Veltar felt his heart sink. Yes, hearts. Zephyrians had 2 of them. He looked at his crew working hard to fix things, but he knew they were not strong enough. Their hands were made for gentle work, not heavy repairs. "Send out a distress call," he said. "Send it to everyone. Maybe the Altruians will hear us. They are good at saving people." His communication officer started sending the message into space. The message said they needed help right away. It told anyone listening where they were and what was wrong. Far away, on a human ship called Mountain View, Captain Jake Morrison was drinking coffee and reading reports. Jake was 52 years old with gray hair and hands that were rough from hard work. His ship was not fancy. It carried mining tools and machines to colonies on far planets. "Captain, I'm getting something strange," said Amy Chen. She was the communication officer, a small woman with quick fingers who could make any radio work. "It's a distress call, but not from any human ship." Jake put down his coffee and walked over to her station. "What kind of ship?" "I think it's alien, sir." "The signal is using galactic trade language. Says they're stranded and running out of air." Jake looked at the message on Amy's screen. He could not read the alien words, but the computer was turning them into English. The ship was 2.5 light years away. That was far, but not too far. "Lisa, come look at this," Jake called to. His engineer, Lisa Park, came over, wiping oil off her hands with a dirty rag. She was short and strong, with smart eyes that could figure out any machine. "What's the problem, Captain?" "Alien ship in trouble. How long to get there?" Lisa looked at the numbers. "About 18 hours if we push the engines, but we'll burn a lot of fuel. Fuel we don't have extra of." Ryan Walsh looked up from his navigation table. He was young, maybe 25, and still excited about traveling in space. "Captain, I can plot a course. The route looks safe." Jake thought about it. His ship was just a cargo hauler. They were not soldiers or rescue workers. They carried mining explosives and big machines to dig holes in the ground, but somewhere out there people were dying. "Amy, has anyone else answered their call?" "No, sir. The emergency channels are quiet. I think we might be the only ones who heard them." Jake made his choice. "Ryan, plot that course. Lisa, get the engines. Ready? We're going to help those people." His crew looked surprised. They all knew this was dangerous. Space was big and mean, and their little cargo ship was not built for rescues, but none of them said no. As the Mountain View changed direction and sped up, none of the humans knew what they were flying into. They did not know that aliens all over the galaxy told scary stories about humans. They called them Deathworlders, because Earth was such a dangerous place. Most aliens came from nice, safe planets with gentle weather and friendly animals. When they heard about Earth, with its earthquakes and storms and meat-eating animals, they could not believe anything could live there. The few aliens who had met humans were amazed that they were still alive. Stories spread from ship to ship about the crazy humans. They said humans could lift heavy things and fight dangerous animals. They said humans never gave up even when they should. Some aliens thought humans were like monsters from scary movies, but the humans on Mountain View did not know any of this. They just knew someone needed help and they were going to try to give it. Jake Morrison had been in space for 30 years and he had a simple rule. You help people when you can. It did not matter if they were human or alien or something else. How long until we get there? Jake asked. 17 hours and 43 minutes, Ryan said. Jake nodded and went back to his coffee. It was going to be a long trip, and he hoped they would get there in time. He did not know that Captain Veltar was about to meet the most feared beings in the galaxy, and that those beings were coming to save his life. 18 hours later, the Mountain View dropped out of hyperspace near the alien ship. Captain Jake Morrison looked out the front window and whistled low. The Zephyrian ship was huge, maybe 3 times bigger than his cargo hauler. It was beautiful, too, with smooth curves and lights that flickered like dying fireflies. Holy cow, said Ryan Walsh. That thing is massive. Lisa Park was already checking their own ship's systems. Our power levels look good. We can help them if they need energy. Amy Chen worked at her radio trying to figure out how to talk to the aliens. Captain, I think I can connect to their communication system. The computer is working on translating their language. Jake nodded. Go ahead, Amy. Tell them we're here to help. On the alien ship, Captain Veltar was having the worst day of his life. When his sensors showed the human ship approaching, he almost fainted. His thin blue hands shook as he stared at the screen. Captain, what should we do? Asked Sil-Ann. She looked as scared as he felt. Veltar had heard the stories about humans all his life. Every Zephyrian child knew the tales. Humans came from a death world called Earth, where everything tried to kill you. The gravity was so strong it would crush most aliens. The air was poison to many species. Wild animals hunted and ate each other every day. The humans who survived such a place had to be monsters. They were strong enough to lift heavy rocks. They could fight dangerous beasts with their bare hands. Some aliens said humans had sharp teeth for eating meat, and small, angry eyes that could see in the dark. Sir, they're trying to talk to us, said his communication officer. The voice that came through the speakers was strange and rough. It did not sound like the beautiful singing voices of Zephyrians. It sounded like rocks grinding together. This is Captain Morrison of the cargo ship Mountain View. We got your distress call. How can we help you? Veltar's throat felt dry. A Deathworlder ship was asking how to help. This had to be a trick. Maybe they wanted to board his ship and take prisoners. Maybe they wanted to steal what was left of their medicine. This is Captain Veltar of the Serenity's Light, he said, trying to keep his voice steady. We need help with our engines. Jake Morrison sounded calm when he answered. No problem. My engineer can take a look. We also have extra power if you need it. How many people are on your ship? 847, Veltar said. There was a pause. Then the human said, That's a lot of people. If we can't fix your ship, we can take some of them on our vessel. We don't have much room, but we'll make it work. Veltar felt his 2 hearts beating very fast. The human was talking about taking his people. This sounded like what pirates did before they sold aliens as slaves. But what choice did he have? His people were going to die if they stayed on the broken ship. On the Mountain View, Jake was talking to his crew. Lisa, can we really fix their ship? I don't know until I see what's broken, Lisa said. But I brought my whole toolbox, and we have those mining charges if we need to blast something loose. Amy looked worried. Captain, they sound really scared. Maybe they've had bad experiences with other ships. Well, we're not pirates, Jake said. We're just going to help them and get back to our job. Ryan was studying the alien ship on his screens. Their design is really different from ours. Look how thin their hull is. It's like they built it from glass. Jake looked at the pictures. The alien ship did look fragile. His own ship was built tough, with thick metal walls and strong engines. It had to be strong to carry heavy mining equipment through dangerous space. Amy, ask them if we can dock with their ship. Lisa needs to see their engines. When Veltar heard this request, he nearly panicked. The humans wanted to come aboard. Stories flashed through his mind about human boarding parties, about Deathworlders taking over ships with their terrible strength. But his engineering officer whispered to him urgently, Captain, our main engine crystal is cracked. We tried to fix it, but our tools are too weak. Maybe they have stronger tools. Veltar made the hardest decision of his life. "You may dock with us," he told the humans. "But please be gentle. Our ship is not built like yours." Jake Morrison sounded confused. "Of course we'll be careful. We're not here to hurt anyone." An hour later, Lisa Park and two of her helpers floated through the tunnel connecting the two ships. The helpers were Sam Rodriguez and Kate Williams, both good with machines and used to fixing broken things. When they entered the alien ship, Lisa stopped and stared. Everything was beautiful and delicate. The walls seemed to glow with soft light. The controls looked like they were made from colored crystals. It was the most amazing thing she had ever seen, but it was also clearly broken. Scorch marks showed where the pirates had damaged systems. Cables hung loose from the ceiling. Some of the pretty crystal controls were cracked or dark. Captain Veltar met them at the airlock. When he saw the humans up close, he was shocked. They were not as big as the story said. Lisa Park was actually shorter than most Zephyrians, but they looked solid and strong, like they were made from heavy metal instead of the light materials that made up his people. "Thank you for coming," Veltar said politely. "Our engine room is this way." As they walked through the ship, more Zephyrians stared at the humans. Some hid behind corners. Others whispered to each other in their musical language. Lisa noticed this and felt bad. "Are they afraid of us?" she asked Sam quietly. "Looks like it," Sam said. "Maybe they've never seen humans before." When they reached the engine room, Lisa understood the problem right away. The big crystal that powered the ship was cracked down the middle. The aliens had tried to fix it with tiny, gentle tools, but the crystal needed to be pushed back together with force. "I can fix this," Lisa told Captain Veltar, "but I need to hit it pretty hard to make the pieces stick together again." Veltar looked horrified. "Hit it? But you might break it completely." "Trust me," Lisa said. "I fixed a lot of crystals. Sometimes you have to be rough to make them." "Work." She pulled out a heavy hammer from her tool bag. The Zephyrians gasped and stepped back. To them it looked like she was about to destroy their only hope of survival. Lisa looked at the crystal carefully, then gave it one strong, precise hit. There was a bright flash of light, and suddenly the engine room filled with the humming sound of working machines. "It works," shouted the Zephyrian engineer. "The engine is running again." Captain Veltar stared at Lisa Park with new respect. Maybe the stories about humans were wrong. Maybe they were not monsters after all. Maybe they were just different. The Mountain View drops out of hyperspace near the dying Zephyrian vessel, and Captain Morrison immediately realizes they're in over their heads. The alien ship is massive, 3 times the size of their cargo hauler, with elegant curves and bioluminescent panels that flicker weakly. Chief Engineer Park runs diagnostics on their own systems while preparing for what might be their first alien contact. Captain Veltar nearly collapses when his sensors detect the approaching vessel. His species has heard whispers of humans in the galactic community, stories passed down from traders and explorers who claim to have encountered the legendary Deathworlders. According to the tales, humans come from a world of extreme gravity, toxic atmosphere, deadly weather, and predators, so fierce that the inhabitants became apex hunters themselves. The first communication between the ships is awkward and tense. Navigator Walsh patches together a translation protocol using standard galactic trade language, while Communications Officer Chen carefully modulates their transmission to avoid seeming aggressive. Captain Morrison introduces himself simply, offering assistance to the stranded vessel. When Captain Veltar realizes these are actual humans, actual Deathworlders responding to their distress call, he faces a terrible dilemma. His people need help desperately, but every instinct tells him that accepting aid from legendary killing machines might be worse than slow death in space. His crew whispers nervously about the stories they've heard of human unpredictability and violence. The humans, completely unaware of their reputation, begin coordinating rescue efforts with typical human pragmatism. Chief Engineer Park suggests they could share power through an emergency coupling, while Captain Morrison offers to take on refugees if the Zephyrian ship can't be repaired. Their matter-of-fact approach to problem-solving contrasts sharply with the Zephyrians' growing terror at what they perceive as casual discussions of boarding actions and ship seizure. The misunderstanding deepens when Captain Morrison mentions their cargo of mining equipment, which includes explosives and heavy machinery. To the humans, these are tools. To the Zephyrians, this sounds like a Deathworlder ship bristling with weapons approaching their defenseless vessel. After Lisa fixed the main engine, both crews started working together. But it was not easy. The humans and Zephyrians were very different from each other. Lisa Park walked through the alien ship with young Zephyrian engineer Kyle Yesh. He was eager to learn how she fixed things, but he was also scared of her tools. When Lisa pulled out her wrench, Kailash jumped back like she had pulled out a weapon. "It's just a wrench," Lisa said gently. "Here, you try it." Kailash took the heavy tool with his thin fingers. To him, it felt like holding a rock. His people used light tools that barely touched the things they fixed. The idea of hitting something to make it work seemed crazy. "But what if I break it?" Kailash asked. "Then we'll fix that too," Lisa said. "Sometimes you have to risk breaking something to make it better." Meanwhile, on the mountain view, Captain Jake Morrison was having his own problems. 3 young Zephyrians had come over to study human technology. They moved very carefully through his ship, like they were walking through a bomb factory. "Your walls are so thick," said one of them, a female named Nylara. "How do you see through them?" Jake laughed. "We don't need to see through them. They keep us safe when things go wrong." The Zephyrians looked confused. On their world, nothing went wrong. Their technology was perfect and gentle. The idea of building things to survive accidents was strange to them. Ryan Walsh tried to make conversation. "So what's your planet like?" he asked. "It's beautiful," Nylara said. "The sky is always purple, and it rains flowers twice a day. The animals are small and friendly. Some of them sing to us." Ryan smiled. "That sounds nice. I grew up on a frontier colony. We had to watch out for rock wolves and storm bears. Lost 3 kids in my school to wild animals." The Zephyrians stared at him in horror. To them, Ryan had just said he grew up in hell. What kind of monsters would put children in a place with wild animals that ate people? Amy Chen joined the conversation. "Oh, frontier worlds aren't that bad. I grew up on a mining station. We only had pirate attacks maybe 3 times a year." Now, the Zephyrians were sure they were talking to creatures from the worst nightmares. These humans spoke about death and danger, like other people talked about the weather. But slowly, both groups started to understand each other better. The Zephyrians realized that humans were not evil. They were just shaped by a hard life. Their thick ships and heavy tools came from living in a dangerous universe. The humans learned that Zephyrians were not weak. They were incredibly smart and had technology that seemed like magic. They just came from a safe, gentle world where problems could be solved with wisdom instead of force. The real breakthrough came when Sam Rodriguez was trying to fix a broken air cleaner. The Zephyrian machine was so delicate that human tools could not touch it without breaking it. Sam was getting frustrated. "I can't fix this thing," he told Kailash. "Every tool I have is too big and rough." Kailash had an idea. "What if we use your strength but my tools?" They worked together, with Sam providing the force and Kailash guiding the delicate work. The combination worked perfectly. Soon they had the air cleaner running better than before. "This is amazing," Sam said. "You guys are really smart, and you are really strong," Kailash replied. "Together we can fix anything." Word spread through both ships about the successful teamwork. More humans and Zephyrians started working together. Lisa Park showed the aliens how to use percussive maintenance, the art of hitting things in just the right way to make them work. The Zephyrians taught the humans about energy flows and crystal harmonics. Captain Veltar watched his people working with the humans and felt his fear fading away. These Deathworlders were not monsters. They were problem solvers. They looked at broken things and figured out how to fix them. Jake Morrison was having similar thoughts. The aliens were not fragile weaklings. They were engineers and doctors and philosophers. They had built amazing technology and traveled between the stars. They just did it differently than humans did. "Captain," Amy Chen called from her radio station. I'm getting something on long-range sensors. 3 ships heading this way, moving fast. Jake looked at the screen. The ships were still far away, but they were coming straight toward the 2 vessels. Can you identify them? Amy worked at her controls for a minute. Then her face went pale. Sir, those are Crimson Fang pirate ships, the same ones that attacked the Zephyrians before. On the alien ship, Captain Veltar received the same news from his own sensors. His hands started shaking again. The pirates were coming back to finish what they started. How long until they get here? He asked his sensor officer. 2 hours, Captain. Veltar looked around his ship. His engines were working again thanks to the humans, but his weapons were still broken. The pirates had 3 ships with lots of guns. His people were not fighters. They would all be killed or taken as slaves. Jake Morrison's voice came over the communication system. Captain Veltar, we see the pirates too. We need to talk. A few minutes later, the 2 captains met in the docking tunnel between their ships. Jake looked serious but calm. Veltar was scared but trying to be brave. Those pirates are bad news, Jake said. My ship isn't built for fighting, but we're not going to run away and leave you here. Veltar felt amazed. The human was willing to fight 3 pirate ships to protect people he had just met. Captain Morrison, your ship is small. The pirates will destroy you. Jake smiled grimly. Maybe, but we've got some tricks they won't expect, and now we've got you helping us. Us? Veltar asked. But we are not warriors. You don't have to be warriors, Jake said. You just have to be smart. And from what I've seen, you folks are the smartest people in the galaxy. For the first time since the crisis began, Veltar felt hope. Maybe they could not fight like humans, but they could think. And thinking had always been what Zephyrians did best. What do you need us to do? Veltar asked. Jake's smile got bigger. Help us show these pirates what happens when they mess with our friends. Both captains went back to their ships to prepare for battle. Neither of them knew it yet, but they were about to make history. The galaxy had never seen humans and Zephyrians working together in a fight. The pirates were about to learn why that was a very bad thing for them. Despite their fears, the Zephyrians have no choice but to accept human assistance. Captain Veltar authorizes the humans to dock with their ship, and Chief Engineer Park leads a small team aboard the alien vessel. What she finds amazes her. Technology far beyond human understanding, but built with material so delicate that a strong handshake might damage critical components. The cultural clash becomes immediately apparent. Park and her team, technician Sam Rodriguez and electrician Kate Williams, move through the ship with what they consider normal caution. To the Zephyrians, watching these stocky, muscular beings lumber through their delicate corridors feels like watching wild animals loose in a crystal palace. The humans quickly diagnose the problem. The Zephyrian engines use a crystalline matrix that was shattered during the pirate attack. The aliens' repair attempts have been too gentle, unable to properly seat the replacement crystals. Park realizes that the job requires precisely the kind of heavy-handed approach that humans excel at. Meanwhile, on the mountain view, Captain Morrison finds himself hosting a group of young Zephyrian technicians who are studying human ship design with fascination and horror. Navigator Walsh tries to make conversation and accidentally reveals that he grew up on a frontier colony where children learn to handle dangerous wildlife before they can properly walk. Communications Officer Chen casually mentions surviving 3 different pirate attacks during her merchant service. To the Zephyrians, these casual admissions sound like war stories from the galaxy's most dangerous predators. They begin to understand that humans don't consider themselves particularly tough or aggressive. This is simply how life works on their worlds. The breakthrough comes when young Zephyrian engineer Kyla Esch works alongside technician Rodriguez to repair a secondary system. Rodriguez shows him how to use what humans call percussive maintenance, fixing delicate equipment with carefully applied force. The technique works perfectly on Zephyrian technology, but no Zephyrian has ever dared to try it. As the repairs progress, both species begin to see past their preconceptions. The humans realize the Zephyrians aren't weak. They're incredibly advanced but built for a gentler universe. The Zephyrians begin to understand that humans aren't savage killers. They're problem solvers shaped by a harsh world that taught them to be tough and resourceful. The 3 pirate ships came out of hyperspace like angry wasps. Their leader was Krex, a mean Vorthan with scars all over his face and metal teeth. He had attacked the Zephyrian ship 3 days ago, and now he was back to finish the job. Well, Krex said into his communicator. The little medicine ship got help. 1 small cargo hauler, this will be easy. Krex had 2 escort fighters and a big boarding ship. All 3 vessels had heavy guns and strong shields. He had fought cargo ships before. They always ran away or surrendered quickly. Surrender now, Krex broadcast to both ships. Give us your cargo and people, and we might let some of you live. On the mountain view, Jake Morrison looked at his small crew. They were scared but ready to fight. Lisa Park had rerouted power from the cargo bay to their weak shields. Ryan Walsh was plotting escape routes through the nearby asteroid field. Amy Chen was jamming pirate communications and coordinating with the Zephyrian ship. Captain, Lisa said, I've got an idea about those mining charges we're carrying. Jake listened to her plan and grinned. Do it. On the Serenity's light, Captain. Veltar was giving orders he never thought he would give. His people were not warriors, but they were brilliant. They knew exactly how other ships worked, because they had studied them for years. Target their life support systems, he told his weapon officer. We cannot destroy their ships, but we can make them very uncomfortable. The battle began when Krex got tired of waiting. His fighters opened fire on the mountain view, expecting to cripple it quickly. Instead, Jake Morrison did something no pirate expected. He flew straight at them. He's crazy, shouted one of the pirate pilots. He's going to ram us. But Jake was not planning to ram anyone yet. As his ship flew toward the fighters, Lisa Park launched mining charges from the cargo bay. The charges were not meant to be weapons, but in space, anything moving fast enough could hurt you. The first charge hit a fighter's wing and sent it spinning. The second charge missed, but it exploded near the other fighter and blinded its sensors. Suddenly, Krex's easy fight was not so easy anymore. Impossible, Krex roared. It's just a cargo ship. The Zephyrians joined the fight in their own way. They could not shoot big guns, but their medical knowledge made them experts on how living things worked. They used their precise scanners to target the air systems on the pirate ships. Within minutes, the pirates were having trouble breathing. Their ship's computers started failing as delicate electronics overheated. The Zephyrians attacked like surgeons, cutting exactly what needed to be cut. Ryan Walsh flew the mountain view through the asteroid field like it was a race course. He had grown up on dangerous worlds where you learned to fly fast, or you died. The pirates tried to follow, but their big ships were too clumsy for the tight spaces between the rocks. One pirate fighter crashed into an asteroid when its pilot got dizzy from bad air. The other fighter retreated to Krex's boarding ship, its pilot coughing and gasping. Boss, the pilot wheezed, something's wrong with our air. And that cargo ship, it fights like it's alive. Krex was getting angry and scared. These were not normal opponents. The cargo ship moved like a fighter, and the alien ship was somehow attacking his life support without firing a single shot. Amy Chen had been listening to pirate communications, and she heard something important. Captain, she called to Jake, their main ship has a weak spot in the engine section. If we hit it there, the whole ship will lose power. Jake looked at the pirate boarding ship. It was 3 times bigger than his cargo hauler and covered with armor and guns. But Jake had been in space for 30 years and he had learned that sometimes the best plan was the craziest plan. Lisa, give me everything the engines have got, he said. Jake, what are you doing? Lisa asked, but she was already rerouting power. Something stupid, Jake said. Hold on, everyone. The Mountain View turned and flew straight at Krex's ship. The pirates fired everything they had, but the human ship kept coming. Its shields flared and sparked, but Jake Morrison flew like a man who had nothing to lose. At the last second, Jake aimed for the exact spot Amy had identified. The Mountain View hit the pirate ship's engine section like a hammer hitting an egg. The collision tore through the boarding ship's hull and knocked out its main power. The Mountain View bounced away from the impact, badly damaged, but still flying. Jake's crew was shaken up but alive. The pirate ship was not so lucky. It drifted in space, dark and powerless. This is impossible, Krex whispered. He had never seen a cargo captain ram a warship and survive. Captain Veltar's voice came over, the communication system. Surrender now, pirates. Your ships are broken and you are outnumbered. Outnumbered? Krex laughed bitterly. There are only 2 of you. Wrong, said a new voice. It was Amy Chen, and she sounded very satisfied. I've been broadcasting this whole fight on emergency frequencies. Half the sector knows what happened here. Look at your long-range sensors. Krex checked his sensors and felt his blood turn cold. 6 more ships were approaching. Word had spread about the pirates attacking a rescue operation, and other captains were coming to help. The fight was over. Krex's remaining ships had no power, no air, and no hope. They surrendered and waited for the authorities to arrest them. Later, as both crews worked together to repair their ships, the real celebration began. Humans and Zephyrians had fought side by side and won. More importantly, they had become friends. Your people are incredible, Captain Veltar told Jake. You never give up no matter how bad things look. Jake smiled. Your people are pretty amazing too. I've never seen anyone take apart a ship's systems like that without firing a shot. Lisa Park and Kailesh were already planning new projects together. Sam Rodriguez was learning about crystal technology. Amy Chen was helping the Zephyrians improve their communication systems. The story of the battle spread quickly through space. Other aliens heard about the sector where humans and Zephyrians worked together. Pirates started avoiding the area, knowing that Deathworlders and their smart friends hunted there. More importantly, other species began to think differently about humans. Maybe the stories about Deathworlders were wrong. Maybe humans were not monsters. Maybe they were just people who had learned to be tough because they had to be. The Mountain View eventually delivered its mining equipment and continued on its normal route. But Captain Jake Morrison and his crew carried something more valuable than any cargo. They had learned that the galaxy was full of friends, if you were brave enough to help when they called. And somewhere in space, Captain Veltar and the Serenities continued their mission to bring medicine to sick people. But now they knew that if trouble came again, there were Deathworlders out there who would answer their call for help. The galaxy had changed. It was a little bit safer, and a lot more friendly.